Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. So today we are going to be talking about tips and tricks on how to keep your kitchen clean. And I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite rhythms for how I keep our kitchen clean, some of the tips that I typically use, my processes. I'm just going to share it all. So if you're looking for a good motivational video on how to keep your kitchen clean and hopefully some new ideas, you are in the right spot. So let's get right into it. Okay, so I wanted to share just a quick screenshot of the processes that I'm going to be sharing in this video. So we're going to talk a little bit about zone cleaning, my favorite process, which is going from top to bottom when I'm cleaning, and then just a few other things. So that's why I had those on the video right there. And then we're going to get straight into cleaning. The first thing I'm going to do, since my kitchen is pretty messy at this point, is just pick up what I know needs to get off my counters. And I will be doing dishes here in a minute, but first I'm going to handle all of the trash that's just on our counters. This is just kind of leftover from dinner last night, making school lunches this morning. So I'm just going to run through and do this quickly. I do not like starting to do deep cleaning when there's already just kind of messes everywhere. So I feel like I do a better job cleaning well when I'm kind of in a more tidy space. And I don't know if that really makes sense, but just having too much out at one time tends to like overwhelm me with like the process on how to clean a space. So right now I'm just going through and picking up as I go. So the first zone that we're going to tackle in the kitchen today is dishes. I have got clean dishes in my dishwasher right now that I need to unload. And then I have a sink full of dishes that I need to get into my dishwasher. And then since this is a deeper cleaning video, I'm going to share my process for cleaning my sink and making it shine. So let's get right into it. Okay, so I do want to share, I do think the best process for keeping your kitchen clean and just like easy to maintain is doing the dishes at night after dinner, just going through the kitchen pretty quickly. So you're going to bed with a clean sink. Like, I really do think that's the best process. But clearly I did not get that done last night. Right after dinner last night, we had sports. My boys had baseball practice and my daughter had gymnastics. And so we had to kind of rush out of here and go to those practices. And then when we got back, it was like go time on getting the kids ready for bed and then getting them tucked into bed. And so I just did not really have a chance to come by and tidy the kitchen. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm doing it now. But honestly, if you're looking for ways to keep your kitchen cleaner and honestly, you're just like the rhythm of smoother, keeping your house in like easier to clean, I do recommend trying to do your dishes the day that you've dirtied them. So you're not waking up to a dirty sink. But I don't know, it doesn't always happen. And today's one example of sometimes you just got to clean it the next day or whenever you get a chance. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do a deep clean of my sink right now since I have the time and I just wanna share my process with you. I love using the Dawn spray soap. I think that does a really good job. So typically, my first step is just to rinse out the sink and get any crumbs or food pieces out of the sink. And I do those down my disposal because I have a garbage disposal. It works pretty well for me. Then I spray my sink with the spray Dawn. And then I turn my disposal on and just kind of rinse it out after I've scrubbed the sides of the sink with a brush. I just use a generic scrub brush. I'm pretty sure this one is from Home Goods. I replace it pretty often just because I use it so much, but I scrub all the sink and then get it rinsed out. And then I love to get just a clean, dry towel and wipe out the sink. And so drying out the sink will make it shine. It will keep it from getting water spots. And so when I have a chance to really clean my sink, I love making sure I dry it out with a dry rag because it just looks so good when you're done. Here's just a close-up of my sink. This is definitely the cleanest it's been over the last few weeks. So I'm just going to embrace having a clean, shiny sink. And there you go. That's my process on making that happen. Okay, so the next zone that I'm going to work on are countertops. This goes in with both like how I clean with zones and doing the top to bottom method. I try to make sure all the countertops are clean before I move on to floors, just so if I get any crumbs off the counters onto the floors, I'm not having to vacuum twice. Okay, so one of my best tips here is to go through your counters with just like a paper towel first and get any crumbs off before you spray a product on. I think that just makes it so much easier to clean. So I did run a paper towel over this area first because there were a lot of crumbs. This is really the area of my kitchen where I do most of my cooking. So anytime I'm like chopping something or, kind of preparing food, I'm right in this space. So the counters are dirty here. And while I was cleaning off the counter, I did have some product soaking on my cooktop just to help get some of the stuck on grime off. And that's another thing. Just when you're using your products, if you give them enough time to really do their job, it cuts your scrubbing down by a lot. And so I try to always give my products enough time to activate on the surface that they're being used to clean. So I'm cleaning my cooktop and it's really dirty right now. And so first I sprayed that Dawn spray soap again, and then I scrubbed that just with the same scrub brush that I used on my kitchen sink earlier. And then once I had that pretty well spread everywhere, I added a little bit of baking soda. I don't know. This has been my process that's worked pretty well for me. I have seen that some people say that scratches surfaces, like baking soda can scratch your cooktop. I have not experienced that, but I'm also not using just a ton of pressure on the surface as I'm using the brush. I just kind of use a light pressure as I'm doing this, and it really does a pretty good job. So after I've let the product sit and I've scrubbed it with the scrub brush, I just go with a wet washcloth and remove all the product. And then just because I have the time today and I'd like to have the kitchen extra sparkly, I'm going to go ahead and clean this glass cooktop with just some glass spray and a really plush microsurface, like a microfiber towel. And that way the cooktop just really sparkles. And I don't really do this very often because I typically am just doing a quick tidy of our spaces. But when I can do a really deep, thorough clean, I love to do like a towel over the surface of anything that's glass just to make it extra shiny. So here's the final product. This is pretty clean for us. I'm happy with the results, and I really do think the Dawn dish soap spray really helps to make things shine. Okay, so the next zone I'm going to work on is just the rest of my countertops. I'm going to go ahead and remove anything that's on my counter before I clean, just so I can really get every square inch of our countertops clean today. That's another thing. I don't typically keep just a whole lot on my counters. On this far counter in our kitchen, I do keep my bread maker out. That was the big thing that I just moved. I bake bread about once a week for our family. I really enjoy doing that, and my bread maker makes it really easy, so it's not even like a lot of work when I do it. So I like to do that. And then I do have these like 3 black canisters. I've loved these. I got these at our wedding shower years ago. We're actually fixing to celebrate a wedding anniversary, so I'm pretty excited for that. But I've had these canisters on my kitchen counter in all of our homes. And then I do have a little ceramic bowl that either has like tortillas and sandwich bread in it, or if I don't have that out in it, that's what I keep like oranges and apples in. So I like to keep our counters pretty clutter-free just because it makes cleaning them easier. So it's always just a process on how can I make cleaning easy and not difficult. And that's another trick that I like to encourage people. If you keep your area like simple to clean, it's so much easier to clean. So think about your kitchen counters and maybe declutter them if you find that it's stressing you out when you have to clean them. If you like more on your counters, like that's great. It does not have to be super streamlined, but just keeping the process that's simple to you is my recommendation. I like it pretty streamlined and fast, and that's one of the reasons that I don't have very many things sitting out on my counters. Okay, so when I'm doing a tidy, like a quick clean of our kitchen, I do not clean the appliances, but when I'm doing a deep clean of this space, I love to clean the appliances. I clean the front of our fridge, the dishwasher, the microwave, and our oven with glass cleaner. I do have some stainless steel cleaner that I use sometimes, but I feel like glass cleaner does the trick. So if I am just kind of in the mood to clean, I just typically use the glass cleaner. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get the floors clean in this space. So I did work top to bottom. I made sure all the counters were clean and anything above the floors were clean before I got my vacuum out, and that just saves a step getting all the extra crumbs off the floors. So I'm going to vacuum the space, and then I'm planning on mopping it later on in the day, probably when my toddler son is asleep, so he's not kind of running in here and like slipping on any wet flooring that I have going on. But I will vacuum and mop. And then my last tip of the day is just finishing touches. So whatever your kitchen needs to feel really clean and like you just finished the process well, I love to light a candle. This one is from Bath & Body Works, I think probably a year ago. I don't light candles very often, just kind of maybe once a week when I'm doing a deeper clean. But I like to light a candle after I clean the space and then get a fresh hand towel by your sink. Those are what I do as finishing touches in my space. So here's a look. The kitchen is clean and sparkling, and I'm happy just to have this done. Our kitchen has not been this clean for the last couple of weeks, so I'm glad to have this done. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful and encouraging and maybe got a good tip or two. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!